story this hour, Armenian state television says that a ceasefire has been agreed between the Azerbaijani and ethnic Armenian after intense fighting in Nagorno-Karabakh. On Tuesday, the Azerbaijan launched what it's called anti-terror operations on the region's capital. At least 32 people are reported to have been killed, more than 200 injured. The two sides have been locked in a bitter dispute for decades over the Nagorno-Karabakh. Now, most recently, this has led to a war back in 2020.
An agreement was reached on the suspension of local anti-terrorist measures. The units of the Armenian armed forces located in the Karabakh region of the Republic of Azerbaijan, the illegal Armenian armed groups, lay down their weapons, leave their combat positions and military posts, and are completely disarmed. Units of the Armenian armed forces leave the territories of Azerbaijan, illegal Armenian armed groups are released. The second paragraph. Weapons and heavy equipment are delivered in parallel. The third paragraph. It was ensured that the listed processes were carried out in coordination with the Russian peacekeeping contingent.
Meanwhile, Moscow says Russian peacekeepers have evacuated more than 2,000 civilians from Nagorno-Karabakh. Russia's defense ministry confirmed it's provided temporary shelters for ethnic Armenians from that region, as well as medical aid. Moscow further said its troops continue its peacekeeping mission there. Arise chief correspondent John Cookson has been monitoring developments from London and joins us now live. Thank you for being on the show, John. Let's talk about this ceasefire. Is it likely to hold?
Hi there, guys. Good to see you. Well, ordinarily, I would say yes, because the Russians have been banging heads together on both sides in this conflict. But I'm hearing from the region that there are loud explosions and ammunitions being heard in parts of Nagorno-Karabakh. We can take a look at a map and see the area that we're talking about. The area in white, of course, is Armenia. The area in grey is Azerbaijan. And then right there on the right-hand side is Nagorno-Karabakh. You can see it sits right in the middle of Azerbaijan. The problem is that the people who live in Nagorno-Karabakh are ethnically Armenian, which is obviously a recipe for disaster. And this is the region that's been disputed. I'm one of the few foreign correspondents to have actually been to Nagorno-Karabakh because it's a restricted area. I went in with the Armenian army back in 1990s, and it's a stunningly beautiful region, mountainous, where people use horses rather than cars in most of the region, and the people are, as I say, Armenian, ethnically Armenian, and they feel why would we want to be persecuted by the Azeris, which is the correct name for people who live in Azerbaijan. So this dispute seems to be coming to an end for the time being with this ceasefire, and there are supposed to be peace talks tomorrow in Azerbaijan, but if the ceasefire doesn't hold, then I'm afraid violence is going to start again.
Well, John, why is Nagorno-Karabakh such a disputed territory?
You have to go back 100 years when both Armenia and Azerbaijan were part of the old Soviet Union. That, of course, collapsed at the end of the 1980s, early 1990s. And Nagorno-Karabakh found itself in the middle of Azerbaijan in the great carve-up of territory. And in fact, they declared independence, the people of Nagorno-Karabakh, in 1991. And they know themselves as the Republic of Artsakh. Then 2020, conflict broke out yet again, and it's an intermittent conflict that blows hot and cold all the time. Tens of thousands of people have died. Atrocities, terrible atrocities have been committed on both sides. One that will live with me, even though it's 30 years ago now, is that the Azeris were tossing Armenian patients out of the top floor of a hospital to their deaths. But believe me, both sides have committed terrible atrocities in this particular conflict. As I say, tens of thousands of people have died and hundreds of thousands of people have been injured. And it's great sadness to me to, having spanned 30 years, this conflict is still going on, seemingly without resolution or long-term resolution.
Well, Russia has called for an immediate halt to the fighting in Nagorno-Karabakh. Or rather, how important a role does it play in this intermittent conflict?
Hugely important. Moscow has good relations with Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, and ho-hum relations at the moment with Yerevan, the capital of the government in Armenia. But the Russians, who have peacekeeping troops on the ground in that area I showed you etched in red, obviously have a great sway on both sides. And when Putin says, "Come on, guys, sort it out," we want a ceasefire, then generally speaking that happens. Also, Turkey has great influence there, especially with the Azeris, the people of Azerbaijan. So with two great powers like Turkey and Russia, the chances of some kind of ceasefire holding now and in the future is strong. But this conflict, which is over 100 years old now, runs deep, and it's one of the great unresolved conflicts like Israel-Palestinian, the Northern Ireland conflict. It's just one of those in the world that it seems like it's never ending.
John, could you touch briefly on the support of Russia and Turkey regarding this matter?
Yes. Well, as I say, the most important role that the Russians are playing at the moment is political influence, especially on the Azeris, and the fact that the Russians can put troops on the ground, although Putin is limited, given that he's fighting another war at the moment in Eastern Europe. As far as the Turks are concerned, again, great influence on the Azeris in terms of supplying arms and ammunition. And the Turks have great political strength in the region, slightly less with the Armenians. So there is an imbalance here. But broadly speaking, whatever Russia says, that goes. And to go back to your first question, will the ceasefire hold? My guess is that there may be breaches perhaps today and tomorrow, but generally speaking, what's been agreed now by Moscow will hold for the reasons that I've said. But, come back 5 years, 10 years, I'm sure this conflict will still be going because of this basic problem that the people of Nagorno-Karabakh are Armenian, they want to stay in Armenia, but they find themselves, through history and geography, slap bang in the middle of another country.
All right, then. Thank you so much, John Cookson, RISE Chief Correspondent, for your time and analysis on this particular story.